From the Schmoes Know Network studios in Los Angeles, California, it's time for Jedi Alliance, Episode 6, with your host, Master Kenobi Ken Napzok, and the young Padawan, Maude Garrett.
Hello, Schmoville. Welcome so much, Schmoville. Glad to have you here. Obviously, another episode of Jedi Alliance. We are up to episode 6.
That's right.
And you know that this is when things start getting really good. Episode 6, right?
Well, we hope, right?
A New Hope. There we go. We love our puns. Yes, I am young Padawan Maude Garrett. I am joined here by Master Kenobi Ken Napzok. And you may notice that we have another person on the panel. We have a guest today, Alison Haislip.
Hello.
She's an actress extraordinaire, massive geek, and she does love her Star Wars, as you're about to find out.
I do.
But we thought in the meantime, we've had a bit of a big week, haven't we?
We've had a busy week, and we want to thank all you last week who participated by calling into the show. We don't broadcast live. We do kind of a live-to-tape situation. So to arrange the calls, it took a lot of patience on your end, the fans, and you guys did great with some great calls. And we're going to do that again when our Facebook page, which is the Jedi Alliance on the Schmoes Know Network, hits 2,000 likes.
That's it.
2,000 likes.
Right.
We're nearly halfway there. So click that like button. If you already have, get your friends to do it, because you could be on the show very, very soon.
Yeah.
Also, nice shirt, just thought I'd say.
Oh, thank you. It was a little gift from an old friend. Or
Young friend.
Young friend.
Young Padawan. Yeah, okay, got
Yeah,
that one.
thank you.
This was in celebration of the very first Duel of the Fates that we ever did, where you decided the X-Wing was more superior to my favorite vessel, the TIE Fighter,
Right.
and you won big time.
And I love the shirt because I'm pretty sure you made it yourself, right? Just took some like
I'm not that talented.
white out. Yeah, it's a very artistic X-wing.
Meanwhile, that's no moon.
Perfect. We coordinated a little bit, and I have Star Wars shorts on.
What?
No,
Oh, there
Guys,
you go.
I missed the memo to wear Star Wars paraphernalia.
it's okay.
You're
You're here to celebrate.
It's like a competition that we have that we won't ever mention, but I'm winning. It's fine. It's fine. So you are our guest
Well,
on this.
you did steal my Boba Fett dress, but
Oh, snap.
Hashtag Booba Fett. Look, we do have a guest on, and we love to celebrate the greatest saga ever told, and that is Star Wars. So, Alison Haislip, are you ready to be asked the top 5 Star Wars questions?
I was born ready.
these are the most important Star Wars questions people need to know.
Okay.
And we have asked all of the Schmoville up on our Facebook page, the Jedi Alliance, on the Schmoes Know Network. But if you haven't answered the questions, jump onto the Facebook page and let us know, because we are asking every single fan about this. But it is your turn, Alison. Are you ready? When was your first time that you saw Star Wars?
I honestly don't remember. I feel like I've just always known Star Wars. It's just yeah.
I've always known.
I've just always known. I'm not joking. I definitely remember growing up. We had all 3 originals on VHS,
Right.
like taped off the TV, so it had commercial breaks and everything.
You
like that.
too.
Oh, yeah.
We share that in common then.
Yeah, so I don't think I ever saw them all the way through without having to fast forward through commercials for like
that's awesome.
ages. But it was just always like, whenever I had free time, I was always watching those Star Wars movies. I was out in 2nd grade, so when I was 8, I was out for 2 weeks with chickenpox. I watched all 3 Star Wars films every day.
That's a good cure.
So I can sit there and watch the movies and just say all the lines with it, because I would watch.
It's like a sense memory to chickenpox, though. Do you go back to those dark times?
I'm all of a sudden just itching. Yeah, so at least 8.
So I got to ask you then, because you're one of the first people that I've had a chance to meet that grew up watching Star Wars with commercial breaks.
Yeah.
Were you did you have those moments memorized in your head?
Like, yeah, absolutely.
When the little droid comes in to poison or get the true serum out of Leia, like that was commercial break.
Yes. Yeah,
right?
yeah. And it always, like, remember commercial breaks, like, it faded out?
Yes.
And you'd hear the music fade out, and you know that, like, that wasn't actually what happened.
Yeah. It was an awkward introduction to Star Wars.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I didn't have that. But what's your favorite movie out of all the Star Wars movies?
Mine is Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
And a lot of people give me flack for that, but then I have to explain, as you know, I started watching Star Wars when I was a little girl, and when you're a little girl, Ewoks are the coolest things ever. So I loved Return of the Jedi because it had the Ewoks.
Word for word, pretty much.
Yeah.
Why Return of the Jedi?
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. We got that in common. Favorite character, though, what is yours?
Oh, man. Well, my favorite race is obviously the Ewoks, but if I had to pick one character, I have to go Chewbacca. Yeah.
Man, you guys are like sisters.
What's your favorite dinosaur? Velociraptor. Did we just become best friends? Oh dear.
I don't know what's happening. This
is very
I feel
real.
like I'm in the way of this burgeoning friendship.
Obviously, someone has never seen Step Brothers.
Oh, I've seen it, but to witness it in person is powerful.
Obviously, twins. I guess I'll be Luke. You can be Leia.
Here we go. Yeah, Chewie, because he just has the best reactions ever. It's so great to have a character who doesn't actually speak, but can express everything just from the way he's looking and the sounds he makes, you know? And he's like kind of doofusy, but at the same time,
I'll let you guys talk like that for a little bit.
And his laugh.
That's awesome. I love that Chewie gets the love on this show, though, because Chewie can be overlooked because, everyone's going to focus on Han.
How? He's like 7'3".
He's a big walking carpet. I know.
You cannot look over him if you tried.
But it's like we talked last week with Lando. A lot of those side characters, they can get overlooked. I'm glad that you guys really standing up for Chewbacca.
Yeah.
That's what we represent.
Alison, let me ask you this question, though. Moving away from Wookiees and Ewoks, if you were to have one Force power, what would it be?
You mean choosing between the good side and the bad side, or what you can do with the Force?
Just any Force power.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it. I would want the ability to lift things, so moving would just be that much easier.
I don't think anyone has answered that yet.
Telekinesis, like the Jedi mind.
Right.
Yeah.
But you've got Jedi mind powers, or we've heard that. I've got Force choke. But you want to move things. Yeah. You want convenience in your Force.
Yes, convenience, exactly.
We have just moved house.
I did. I just moved, and I just remember being like, I wish I could just
occasionally throw a box at one of your friends as he takes a...
I have actually put up a video on my Vine where it says I have the messiest room. There's a pile of clothes, and I'm just there trying to put them in my wardrobe. And I'm like, this will happen soon. If I keep trying this, it'll happen.
Or like when you're too lazy to get up, you just want to be able to bring the remote to you, you know?
Yeah, as a kid on the playground, I just wanted that power of moving something to me.
Yeah.
It never came, obviously.
A little bit of a shake.
Just a little, not even...
The fourth question that we have, we'll use the fourth on this one. What quote do you find yourself using in day-to-day conversation?
Whenever anyone says, I love you, I always go, I know.
Nice.
I like that she had that right there, though. She knew right where to go. Yeah. You live that every day there.
I can't hear someone say I love you without being like, I know.
How often do you have people telling you that they love you?
Think of when we're getting off the phone with friends or something, they'll just be like, I love you. I'll be like, I know. Yeah.
Man, last time I told someone that I loved them, they broke up with me.
My God, Maude, we are the same person.
Welcome to Star Wars Counseling. I am Ken Napzok here talking these ladies through their love. That's great, though. That's any other situations that you have quotes pop up?
Different quotes?
Yeah.
I like calling people scruffy nerf herders. Yeah.
A lot of Han Solo related stuff going on.
I mean, let's be honest. He had the best ones.
Yeah. I mean, he got called that and he was that.
Yeah, that's true. Did he actually heard some nerf in his time?
I don't know. I often wondered, because when I first heard that line, for me, nerf was those... the styrofoam gun things.
For me, it was that football that would flake off when I'd play.
Yeah, exactly. But it was that product, And so I always wondered. I was like, is that what it means? He's calling him like a herder of Nerf toys?
Right.
But
what a legend! This guy's awesome.
And then in the mid '90s, when the band Nerf herder appeared, it was just like heaven for a Star Wars fan.
But it's like, is that where the word was created? Like, where did the word Nerf come from?
What came from? I think Nerf. That's a great question. Yeah. We need someone out there to research this.
That's why I wonder if Nerf was something that was created. Just the term was created in the Star Wars universe. I
mean, because they've taken something. Some of us talk on phones that are droids, which they have actually. The trademark gives credit to Lucasfilm on those commercials. We got Ronald Reagan in the '80s put up the Star Wars defense system in space. Yep. So
I actually think it was just George Lucas who was typing the script and he wanted to write nerd herder, but then his finger slipped and instead of the D it was an F. And he went, that'll fly.
And no one was there to tell him no.
Yeah. And the last question that we ask every one of our guests and every fan of the show: would you turn to the dark side?
No. Yeah.
You guys are the same.
Yeah.
I couldn't either.
Surrounded by two goody two-shoes who like Chewbacca.
I'm the one who said my force power would be something like so I can just move furniture around. Obviously, I'm not here to use it for evil.
No evil in you. That's okay. That's fair. I kind of would have predicted the other way. I don't know why.
Well,
I'm mysterious.
Been thinking more and more about what it does what it takes to become a Jedi, and there's a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be in a relationship, which is apparently is
Not a
fine
problem
for me.
Yeah.
Tick that box. Okay. But you know, you have to be told what to do. You really have to be good with authority figures.
Yeah.
You know, like, no, stay. But I want to go. I want to help. No. You're like, yes, sir. You really have to be obedient.
Right.
But I know you more than I know Alison, of course. That seems to be
we're
a
the
bit,
same person, so you actually
okay,
now
but it
know
seems
us.
to be like a bit of a struggle. I've seen you. You're a strong personality. I don't think you could take some guy in a robe going, "Hey, sit down for a second, all right?"
Especially if he's not saying smart things, you know.
Right. So that's why I'm convinced.
But
you could go.
You know, Luke disobeyed, and he still remained good.
True.
You know.
Qui-Gon disobeyed.
Anakin, on the other hand, not so much. So it's just a matter of where your heart lies, probably.
I think Anakin was just a series of disobeying.
Yeah.
But he wanted to be more than he was. Well, no, that he knew he could be, and he didn't want to be withheld. Maybe I feel like I have that.
Yeah. I'm convinced that Maude is one move away from Dark Jedi
There you go.
turning down that path. Once
Sith.
you go down that path, forever will it dominate your destiny.
You know what? If I had to look at the Emperor of Darth Sidious to become, you know, a Sith Lord,
Yeah.
I would opt out.
You'd
I
opt
could
out.
not look
Yeah.
at him the whole time.
You'd rather look at...
Listen to me, Darth Maud. I'm like, oh, shut up. Look, what is wrong with your face, dude?
You'd rather hang with Keanu Mundi with that long penis head and all that stuff? You'd rather do that?
And that is the start of many phallic references you will be
There we
hearing
go.
throughout this show. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your top 5. Again, if you
course.
have yours and you haven't shared it with us, jump onto that Facebook page, Jedi Alliance on the Schmoes Know Network.
Absolutely. Next up, we got our segment that we go over every week called Renewed Hope. It's This Week in Star Wars News with Queen Amidala. She is about to address her people.
Thank you so much, everybody. The news was lacking somewhat this week, but I did find some. John Boyega was snapping up a storm on set. He was Instagramming his movements across London. So guys, if you do want all hints of possible spoilers and you want to read into absolutely everything, trust me, this is not a spoiler, follow him on Instagram. He doesn't have a massive following, but the diehards are all there commenting on all his pictures. Here are some of the pictures. This is what he's been up to lately. This is a photo of Pinewood Studios in London with episode 7 out the front. And then there's a photo of him sitting in a car, and he's got an episode 7 cap on. So far, not really spoiling much. Mind you, on that first picture with the studio, he says, "New day, new planet." Well, okay, what does this mean? Quick, let's break it down.
Another planet.
So obviously, yeah, they are going to another planet. That's going to be in a sound booth or a big studio. It's not on location.
We're
like
not
we've seen.
actually going to another planet?
What?
It feels so cheated.
So stupid.
JJ, you promised us the best.
Yeah, I swore there was a real Dagobah.
Yeah.
We also know that he's knackered because he was sleeping in a
Yeah.
photo as
Yeah.
well. So they're long, hard days for him. But then there's also another photo that he put up with him and JJ Abrams and Daisy Ridley, which I thought was a lot of fun. So it looks like they're doing things offset as well as on set.
Well, I would hope so.
And then he has a snap of the mofo himself, Samuel L. Jackson. Apparently they were both at an Adidas party together, and you can see John Boyega.
That's Adidas for anyone who speaks American.
Do you say Nike or Nike?
Nike.
Nike.
I say Nike.
Oh my
wow, we are
gosh.
so far removed from civilization.
This is also proving my theory that AT-AT is the correct way to say it
I
because...
say AT-AT as well.
Thank you, Haislip. Thank you.
I know some people say AT-AT though.
Well, those
They're
people...
from Australia.
Those people say Nick and Adias, so...
Yeah.
Adios, I'm out of here. So yeah, he's obviously met Mace Windu, which he's in awe of, and he was so
Yeah.
excited about that. So I have to ask, guys, were you if you were to be cast in this movie? Because obviously his non-disclosure agreement is about 4 meters thick.
Sure.
Yeah.
Which is whatever feet. How would you be? Would you be active on social media? Would you be like dropping hints if you could?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's doing it correctly. You know, $1 million. All of these photos that he's tweeted have gone through 7 layers of approval before, and all of them don't show anything. The one that shows the studio is the closest that you come from seeing set, and it's only the outside of a building. You know,
Yeah.
so I would definitely try to tweet as much or post as much as I could, but without giving anything away.
Yeah, I'm glad that we have an actor who is clearly enjoying what he's doing in our universe here as fans. We want that. You know, we had mentioned there's a cast member of the new Rebels show that you had interviewed, and you kind of came back and were like, hey, this guy doesn't really like Star Wars, and that was kind of disappointing. Boyega has
At
got...
least pretend.
Right. Give us that. He is sincere, I believe. And if I was actually cast, I have trouble keeping gossip to myself that I should in real life. If I was cast in Star Wars, they'd probably fire me.
I don't think I'd be able to tweet because my fingers would be shaking so much from adrenaline and excitement every day. How you going? Which is why I'm not an actor. People.
I have obviously there's certain things I have to keep under wraps in this conversation,
Sure.
but I have a friend who tested for the film, like was flown over. They put him in wardrobe and they tested him, and then he didn't get it.
That would be worse.
But I was like, at least tell me you got a picture of yourself in wardrobe. He's like, I wasn't allowed. He got to wear it, and he has no proof of that.
I think that's worse than not even going for an audition, because it's like you got a taste. You felt what it would be like as the character. You would have been.
Yeah.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Maybe if you felt the audition was going south during the process, I'd just whip out my phone, start taking pictures, and run out the back door.
Yeah, right.
I'm out.
I know you get in there. May the force be on. Damn it! Okay, kamikaze mode activated.
Outstanding.
Second in the news this week, Star Wars Rebels voice actor Vanessa Marshall voices an excerpt from A New Dawn. Now, we know that A New Dawn is an expanded universe book that has been canon approved. So this is a part of it. So this is like the book that Star Wars fans should read, especially because it's taken place 6 years before the new series, Star Wars Rebels, launches. So it's about, is it canon or canon?
Or canon.
It is canon. No, the character. Sorry. I should have been really clear. This is the problem that I'm having. So the main character.
I'm saying Kanan.
Kanan.
K-A-N-N-A-N. Kanan is what I'm going with.
Jarrus.
I just got the thumbs up from the booth that is correct.
Definitely
George Lucas is in the booth, and he just said, yeah, it's Kanan.
Thank you.
And then Lawrence Kasdan said, I wanted to kill Kanan. So, yeah, Kanan.
Great. Because Kanan and canon, it's like...
Yeah.
That's not even funny. But this is a part of the canon series. But what's really great is that Vanessa Marshall, who does voice Hera in Rebels, she voices this excerpt. And it's all about the time when her character, Hera, has a bit of an altercation with a stormtrooper. This is a part of the excerpt that she reads. JT, whenever you're ready, press that button. Press it good.
Alison, use the Force.
Couch moves.
Hera wasn't about to bring her ship into the Sindon mining complex for an unauthorized landing. Joining the convoy, however, had gotten her close. And once out of sight of the Star Destroyer, she parked in orbit.
All right.
Yeah, there you go.
This sounds like a Star Wars sex tape.
She does have quite a deep...
When she wanted to park illegally in the
She's gonna get
convoy,
into trouble.
I was like, what do you mean by that?
There you go. So what do you think? Will you be reading A New Dawn?
Oh, yeah.
I am reading it. So
wow.
and I've been talking about this with Christian Harloff from the Schmoes Know Movie Show. We're going to bring him on to discuss this in more detail. I am struggling with the book.
Hey, why's that?
I'm 20 chapters in, and it's just getting a little better. The characters are good. There's some cool stuff going on, but it's a little slow, and it's a lot of things. What maybe brought down Phantom Menace for some was a lot of political talk and Trade Federation blockades.
Yep.
There's been like 10 chapters on this mineral facility, and I'm like,
oh no.
But some characters are good, and here's one thing I picked up on last night. There was a scene where 4 stormtroopers come in. The book makes a point to point out that 3 of them were female stormtroopers.
Yes.
Interesting.
Very clearly highlights it. The one is speaking, and I wonder if that ties into some of this episode 7 rumors. We've heard of Gwendolyn Christie being a former stormtrooper.
She's a little tall to be a stormtrooper.
Yeah,
but
it was very clear.
This is the thing that always confused me with the prequels, and I don't know, maybe we can get into this discussion later, but I never understood like the Clone Wars. They become the stormtroopers, but the stormtroopers in the original movies are obviously people, and I'm like, are we supposed to pretend that they're clones?
So
or like this whole thing.
I think I kind of have an answer to this.
Oh,
let's go.
And because this is something that bugs me all the time.
Darth Harloff. Apparently, second half picks up.
George Lucas is telling me about the book, The New Dawn.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, the second half of the book picks up, yes.
Just grab a pair of headphones and sit on the bloody panel already, Darth Harloff. Okay, so the Clone Wars, yes, the clone is taken from the bounty hunter that we all know, Jango Fett.
Right.
And then on Kamino, they have a process where they speed up the aging, so they're at the ultimate age to be soldiers. But the problem is they keep getting older. So as the years go on, you know.
Okay, so they're not. I honestly took it that they were robotic in some way, shape, or form. This is why I need to go back and watch.
I also think a little bit of it was, we talked about this off air, but sometimes other people have to answer the Lucas plot holes. I think there was a little bit of, they're all clones. Really? Yeah. Okay. Someone better write a book to explain that.
Right.
But I, in my head, this is how I wrap my brain around it, Alison, is after the Clone Wars ended, they needed to expand, so they just started a good propaganda join the Empire thing, and guys were like, okay,
volunteered. Yeah.
And that's where it started to switch.
So they would have training facilities where you know they would go and get
Imperial Academy, where Luke wanted to go.
That's it. So I didn't know that's where Luke.
So where he wanted to join Biggs at the Academy. Where Han Solo came from, so maybe that's in my head.
But women and men all went to the camps, and this is what I've researched. Gender was completely irrelevant to become a stormtrooper. So the plating adapted for both bodies, so you couldn't tell once they were suited up that if they were male or female, but they shared the same bunks together, they shared the same quarters, everything. Male and female together as a stormtrooper united.
What's so interesting is, to me, this is the first time it's really been addressed.
Yeah.
That, oh no, that's a female stormtrooper.
That's true, because when they commed in, it wasn't like, they're in room to...
You never heard that. In fact, in other books that were maybe now non-canon expanded universe, it went out of its way to say how the Emperor didn't really like aliens or female species.
Right, so he was doing genocide as well as...
He's an all-around asshole.
yeah, fair enough.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Alrighty, moving on. Third piece of news here. Rancho Obi-Wan hosts its second annual gala, and the auction items will make you cry. Nerd tears. Have you guys heard of Rancho Obi-Wan?
Oh, I visited them at Comic-Con 1 or 2 years at least. Yeah, their stuff's amazing.
So basically, it's run by a superfan and collector called Steve Sansweet. This guy has turned his severe love for Star Wars into a full-blown career. He's written 16 Star Wars books, including my encyclopedia.
Right.
This guy knows everything, and he also boasts one of the biggest Star Wars collections in the world. So he's opening up a gala. This is the second one that they've done. It's $250 for a ticket, and if you're in LA, you're free to go. They put on a whole night, dinner, food, dessert, and they also have a silent auction and an open auction. Now, you can only attend the open auction if you're there. The silent one, you can buy tickets, or you can buy a donation to enter that one. There's a whole list of the collectible items on the website if you do want to check it out, ranchoobi1.org. Here's a couple that I have discovered here. The first one is a framed original Star Wars production used storyboard. So this is one of the frames from the actual original Star Wars universe that they've put up there that's been signed. And another one, which I thought was awesome, was the 2006 Hasbro Star Wars Saga collection George Lucas.
Yes.
Who is hidden in a Star Wars Stormtrooper uniform.
Yeah.
I've seen that in pictures only.
So you can buy it at this auction.
Or if I'm quick enough, I could steal it and run.
There you go.
No. But yeah, that's exciting to me. Wow.
So I want to know, what's your favorite collectible?
That I have?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Do you collect?
I'm not a huge collector. Like, I don't go out and try to find stuff to buy, but I definitely made my parents hold on to a lot of stuff. So I have, like, I don't know where it is. I'm sure it's at my parents' house, but I have like that Ewok village.
Oh yeah,
remember that?
Yeah, it's got that you can put the Ewok, slide it down the tree. Outstanding.
I also have. I thought this was pretty cool, but one year that I was working at G4, they threw a Star Wars party at Comic-Con, and the invites to the party included 2 frames of Return of the Jedi. So they got all the original copies, you know, and some of those are like sliced up.
Nice.
Obviously not the like master.
Still, that's really cool.
So I have that invite with 2 frames of Return of the Jedi.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Go on, best collectible that you have?
You know what? As you see, I have a lot of stuff here that I collect now that's the modern kind of stuff. There's so much stuff out there now. I got the William Shakespeare versions of all the movies right here. But you know what my favorite one is? It's the last I have of my original toys. There's a big tragedy in my life is I had a lunchbox full of Star Wars figures in the early 80s. And my parents had a garage sale. And I was... at that age where like, well, all my friends have a skateboard. I want a skateboard. And I sold all my toys... my Star Wars toys for $3 whole. And I don't have, the only thing I have left is a figure of the AT-AT AT-AT driver, General Veers actually, really technically, that figure sitting in a beat up Y-Wing. That's all I have left of my childhood memories of my Star Wars toys.
So sad.
So if we can all have a moment and cry with me. But yeah, so I still have that. It's not presentable. It's beat up, but it's the last of the originals.
Do yourself a favor and jump on to see the items for the auction. There's beautiful artwork. There's one of my personal favorites was, I think L'Oreal or Maybelline or one of the brands put out a Padme Amidala, Queen Amidala makeup set.
Yes.
Oh, I remember
and so they
that.
have the signage and the makeup that hasn't been opened in that. I was like, who keeps this stuff?
That's actually the favorite collectible I own.
I knew it. You little rude.
What about you? What's your favorite Star Wars collectible that you own?
I mean, I collect lightsabers, but they're all back home in Australia. My favorite is I had to mantle together, put together. Say your words, Maude. I had to put together Count Dooku's lightsaber.
Oh, the nice little curved one.
The curved blade, and it is just so smooth to play with that one. But I don't have that one because it didn't fit in the suitcase. It's way too long.
Let's have that sent over.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll just buy more. I'll buy all of them. Notice that it's Sith though. My favorite item is.
Oh,
yeah, see, that's what I know.
He turned.
You are one.
Do you remember when he
move
blasts open and it was red, and you're like, he's no longer a Jedi.
Yeah.
I do because I just watched the prequels over the weekend.
Which we're gonna get to.
We certainly
later.
will. But that is it for Renewed Hope this week.
Perfect. Thank you. There's a lot of news, even in a slow week, a lot to talk about. And hey, as we get 2015's around the corner, which of course means episode 7 is around the corner, the news is going to keep growing and growing, we hope. So now we're going to go on to our debate segment of the week, Duel of the Fates, where we throw two things from the Star Wars universe in together and let the fates decide, which the fates is also us and you. You can join along on our Facebook page, Schmoes Know, the Jedi Alliance on Schmoes Know Network. Like it. And weigh in on the debate. Now, last week we had, well, it ended up being kind of one-sided. I thought it'd be closer. It wasn't. It's
still closer than the previous week where I kicked ass. But I also won again this week, I'll have you know. So it was Duel of the Fates was who was the most intimidating foe? Or is it a who or a what?
What?
It's a bit of a what, isn't it? The Rancor or the Sarlacc, both in the Return of the Jedi, both have their own features that are nail-biting. But in the vote count, it was the Rancor took out 67 votes and the Sarlacc with just 28. So my favourite part is you guys not only writing Rancor or Sarlacc, but an explanation why. And here's a few for Rancor on my team. We had Sarah Blake comment saying, I'd have to say Rancor. The Sarlacc pit is stationary while a Rancor can chase you. It has claws, teeth, and a vicious roar, while the Sarlacc pit can only grab you with its tentacles. Nearly said testicles, not gonna lie. Oh my God.
Thanks for admitting that.
Karen Schultz said the Rancor, it took a Jedi to get away from him. A Sarlacc just took a blind guy and another guy.
I love that. Blind guy and a guy.
And a guy. Jeffrey Glasgow said Rancor for sure. The Sarlacc you can easily avoid, but just ask the Gamorrean guards just how easy it was to avoid the Rancor.
Which was Snort, who we paid tribute to 2 weeks ago. There were some people on my side, the Sarlacc. I have a fear of control. I have fear of a lack of control. So not knowing what I'm getting into with the Sarlacc was the reason I said it was more fearful for me. Other people kind of agreed. George McCann said, I'm worried about the Sarlacc. I can't outrun a pit, and I have a feeling its tentacles, arms, intestines aren't friendly to folks who happen to take a swan dive after being pushed. I'm more confident running from the Rancor. The claustrophobia alone of being in the Sarlacc might give me a heart attack. That's kind of my point, too.
Well, that's better than the 1,000 years of digestion that you would be going through.
That's kind of what you'd want to have.
Yeah.
Right. Freddie Daniels said, Sarlacc, 3 exclamation points. It's like a sea monster in the desert. Freaky stuff. And Christopher John Corrick said, Sarlacc, Rancor can be beat with a skull, good aim, and a door, but also maybe a little force. Once you're in the Sarlacc, that's that. I take on the Rancor. Over trying to figure out how to escape the Sarlacc pit. Sarlacc is the more intimidating foe. What would you have gone with, Alison?
I initially would have said Rancor because of because it's mobile. It seems like you can avoid a pit much more easily.
It has legs and claws. That's a lot of reach.
But I just had the consideration of your death with the Sarlacc lasts 1,000 years.
Yeah. Someone commented going, how does it keep you alive for 1,000 years? Does it kind of keep you nutrients going?
Probably, yeah. It's some
kickstarts your heart with the tentacles.
Not the way I want to find out. And also, when they re-release Return of the Jedi for the 3rd time, I think George is going to add some testicles.
Yes, one can only hope.
All right, so this week we have an interesting little, it's kind of a little fight segment here. It's kind of a who would win should this ever happen.
Yeah, the battle royale kind of. Put him in an arena, give him some gloves.
In one corner, we have the Ugnaught. the little worker creature from Bespin, the Cloud City scene in Empire Strikes Back. And in the other corner,
we have the Jawas, who are pretty much only on Tatooine, the scavengers that collect droids in their sandcrawler.
So it is a fantasy battle. Who would win, Alison?
Oh, I'm going to go Jawa. Mainly because you never really see their faces. They're dark and mysterious. I feel like they're very clever. I feel like they'd be kind of like MacGyver in a fight. You know what I mean? I feel like they would somehow figure out how to like make a weapon and be like, blah, you know?
I like that point.
Yeah. Plus they survive in the desert, which is way nastier than the Cloud City, which is gorgeous.
Especially in the re-releases.
Yeah.
Maude?
Okay, so I've done a bit of research because when I first heard about this question, or when I first suggested it, I actually had no idea.
Yeah.
It's like, we were saying that if you were playing Dungeons and Dragons or something, they would both be in the same class.
Right.
They're around the same height, they're around the same build, they serve pretty much the same purpose. That's to construct and to build. I will have you know, though, that Owen Lars did say, remember that Jawas are afraid of their own shadows. So they are not aggressive creatures.
Right.
On the other hand, though, research has also suggested that they evolve from the same species that the Tusken Raiders have. And we know that Tusken Raiders have a lot of bite.
Yeah.
So, I mean... do they have that in there? They've got the Jawas that have sandcrawlers.
That was freakishly accurate, by the way. Sorry.
It's not the first time I've ever done that. Trust me, maybe once a week. Jawas have sandcrawlers, but Ugnaughts keep within clans, so they're in their group. So a little bit about Ugnaughts, which you may not know, is that whatever occupation your parents have is taught to you, and then you pass it on to your generation. So that's how it works. Should there be too many in that occupation, they do something called the blood duel. And the blood duel is they fight to the death at 20. So when they hit the age of 20, when they think they've become, an adult, they fight to the death. Ha ha! So because they have the ability to fight to the death, even though General Grievous did say these creatures have little fight in them, they will make excellent slaves, and they are, on the whole, slaves.
Right.
I think the Ugnaught can take out a Jawa because they have the ability to fight.
I like that. You both made great points, and I was going to counter the Jawa thing with the Afraid of No Shadows, but I gotta give Alison some credit on that point. You don't know what's under those cloaks.
Yeah.
And if they're in a little pack,
creepy.
they'll shoot that little stun gun. And if they evolve, and the Junlin wastes are not to be traveled lightly, so they've got to have some ability to defend themselves. But I'm going to break this tie and go Ugnaught simply because they weren't afraid of Chewbacca.
They didn't flinch.
Good.
Really?
They didn't flinch.
Oh.
They were playing hot potato with 3PO's head while this 7-foot Wookiee was screaming after them and crying because his friend was torn apart. And they were like, whatever, keep it away. It was like a game to them.
Yes.
That's a little bit of lack of fear.
They had a job to do. I will, for the people playing at home who need a little bit more information to make their decision, Jawas have night vision and a really high immune system as well. So Jawas are known to survive, whereas Ugnaughts know to do a job.
Right.
So you give them a job to kill someone else.
So pretty close. It's 2-1 here. Ugnaught Jawa on set, but that's where we take it to you guys, the fans, on our Facebook page, the Jedi Alliance on the Schmoes Know Network. We will post this question, and you will have a chance to vote and add in your comments. And if your comment catches our eye, it'll be read next week as we announce the totals for this.
I really want to see this. If someone's really good at animation, can you just make a Jawa and an Ugnaught fight? Because that's kind of, I'm not really into that kind of thing. I like Pokemon, and I feel this is in the same kind of realm as fun, safety, fighting.
Yeah.
So you'd be, is that outside your safety bubbles watching Jawa and an Ugnaught fight?
No, I would really enjoy that more than I should.
All right.
Ding, ding.
I think I think someone can come up with that.
Ding, 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 ding.
Alrighty, so we move on to the segment we like to call Forced On. This is where we put the spotlight on one particular part of the ginormous Star Wars expanded universe, whether it is a book, a comic, a character, any particular thing. This weekend kind of this week's spoke for itself because I bought the Blu-ray box set 1 to 6, and I started at 1, and I did the prequels. Now, some people love the prequels, and I can understand that there are particular parts in the prequels that were enjoyable. But on the whole, I was actually left more confused than when I started. I have watched the prequels before. I understand the premise. I do get what they're trying to achieve. But there's just so many unanswered things that got me very, very frustrated.
And to give you guys a little behind the scenes thing, Maude and I prepped the show via email and phone calls and texts all through the week, and we had something chosen for Forced On. Sometimes we let our guests lead the Forced On segment. So
dodged a bullet.
You either dodged a bullet or lost an opportunity to preach here, maybe when you come back. But we had to throw away what we were going to do because yesterday my phone was blown up by you texting me these panicked kind of angry questions. Now, other note, I have assigned you on my phone a personalized text tone, which is a TIE fighter, in honor of your family Garrett's ability to do the TIE fighter sound. So my pocket yesterday sounded like my pocket was chasing the Millennium Falcon. Like every 5 seconds was, my friend's like, what's going on? I'm like, oh, it's just Maude. She's watching the prequels. So you have some questions.
I do. And to help you guys out, instead of putting it up in text form, I actually recorded my train of thought process throughout this whole thing. So have a listen and write down some notes as well, because Ken, you're going to try and answer these questions that I have.
And I'm going to need Alison's help, I'm sure.
So here's my messages.
So, Master Kenobi, was Palpatine trying to bring Dooku down the whole time? Dooku was good? I'm lost. Because he's teamed up with Gunray, and the trade treaty is bad. But why was Jango with Dooku? Dooku was making the droid army, and Palpatine was making the clone army. And Padme, I truly, deeply love you to Anakin. Bugger off. You could barely look at him and winced when he spoke to you. And who's Dooku's master? Oh, he designed the Death Star. Who are the good guys? Palpatine was training Maul. Oh, Dooku became a Sith Lord too, didn't he? Hold on. Did Dooku train a Sith? I know that he trained Qui-Gon, so Dooku knows that Palpatine is Sidious, right? Why would the death of Maul turn Dooku? I have so many questions. If Dooku knows that Palpatine is Sidious, then why doesn't he realise that Palpatine is competing with him and trying to eliminate the droid army? How about I just read Darth Plagueis before I keep hounding you with these questions? Yeah. It's most definitely my dirty mind at play, but the design of the podium in this is just not okay. Mind you, if Mos Eisley can welcome a dude with balls for a mouth, then Nien Number is certainly allowed to have a vagina for a mouth. Technically, Watto has a dick for a nose. There really is no happiness in Padme's eyes when she marries Anakin. None. Well, Attack of the Clones is over. Oh, you say that that's marriage, but that's forced slavery. He puts the Force in forced slavery.
And that is the marriage between those two.
First of all, what I've got to say is you are one of the more sincere, honest people, because that is word for word what you texted me all day yesterday. You just wrote that. You weren't making that up for it. That is what the string of texts I got. You took out my responses. I was trying to explain my...
Your responses. You replied like 3 times and left me hanging.
I was in a social setting and I couldn't type fast enough.
I needed you, Master Kenobi.
I was trying to explain my when I was in stand-up comedy, my signature Star Wars bit was a joke about Nien Numb's face, which is what I gave. That's the response you gave. And by the way, good spot on the Attack of the Clones vaginal wall that the Genosans hide behind. So, all right. So, in the time we have, what do you want answered?
Okay, so I was obviously uncovering a lot of the answers as I was watching the movie. But what I never really understand, I mean, Palpatine made a really, really strong point where there is 2. There is the master and the apprentice. There can only be 2.
Right.
Yeah. And
I just think that he kind of doubled up a couple of times.
Well, look, here's the thing, and I don't know the Sith as well as Darth Harloff does. So, you know, if you need to jump in, you might need to jump in. But Darth Bane was the one who created the rule of the 2. Right, Christian?
Yes, Darth Bane created the rule of 2, and the reason, to answer your question as far as why there are so many Sith running around, is because they're always ready to replace one another. And that's why, again, if you, like you said, Maude, had you read Darth Plagueis...
I started last night.
Okay. Well, you'll get the answer to that question throughout that, because that's why he gets Maul, because you might not have complete confidence in his apprentice, and then it moves on.
Okay, so he had Darth Maul, so...
another thing, when he received Darth Maul, and again, the story's not 100% canon yet that we know of, in Plagueis, when he receives Darth Maul, talking about Palpatine, he was Plagueis' apprentice. So he was already...
Palpatine was Plagueis'
That I knew.
apprentice.
Yeah.
That I
Okay.
got.
So and the Night Sister, the witch, meets him somewhere and like, hey, here's this little
Bundle of red face with
bundle of horns.
Yeah.
He secretly trains him, sends him on missions and everything.
Much like Obi-Wan trains Anakin when
Yes.
he's still technically under Qui-Gon.
That's a good way to look at it.
Okay.
Okay.
So then when
This is all while Dooku is still a Jedi.
Dooku's he's one of those rebel Jedis. He was Qui-Gon's master.
Yes, I
so
got that.
Qui-Gon's rebel kind of streak comes from Dooku a little bit.
Okay.
And there's some talk that if Qui-Gon had not died, he might have joined Dooku as well against the Republic. Now
Liam Neeson
Liam
wouldn't do
Neeson would
that.
never do that. Yeah.
but put that wig on him and maybe he would. And his secret love for Shmi Skywalker. So when Palpatine kills Plagueis,
Yes,
as he explains
because
to Anakin,
he has learned all there is to know about the
Yeah.
dark side, and he could learn
yeah.
no more. He learned how to figure out how to get.
just because that's their nature.
Yeah.
They're
So
bad.
he
people.
kills his master.
Kills his master. He's already got the apprentice ready to go.
Right.
So behind that apprentice, it would make sense he'd have another one ready to go.
Gotcha.
Maul was a little bit more of a warrior, so maybe he wasn't as cunning or thinking ahead. He just went out and did missions and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So he had Dooku turn. Dooku and Sifo Dyas were involved in this plot. And again, I don't want to spoil Plagueis for you. That starts to unravel.
Okay.
At the same note, though, it's slightly confusing.
Yeah, because okay, so Jango Fett is the clone template, but then why was he talking with Dooku?
They ran into each other at some point. Is the best way I'll say it. Thank you,
Darth Harloff is even scratching his head over that one.
They met for coffee.
That's my point that I had. This was so weird because I'm like, the main apex you've got at the top is Sidious, and I didn't know which of the people below him knew that he was both Sidious and Palpatine. That was confusing because you know where he's eventually going to go. He's going to become the Emperor, but you didn't know if Dooku knew his plans, if Grievous was even in on it, because Grievous and Dooku, both to Palpatine, just became bantha fodder.
Yeah,
to put it in
essentially.
terms. They were pawns for his main, trajectory of turning
And there's
to
some
an
that
empire.
argue, and I've told you this in text, there's some that argue Dooku, in a way, was the start of the rebellion because he was behind the Separatists who were going against the Republic.
Yeah.
So when it switches and the Republic are now the bad guys, it's like Dooku's people are like, oh, this isn't, we're going to keep fighting.
Yes, and then Vader, for the first mission of being Vader, kills all the Separatists.
Yeah.
I got that. But then Dooku...
He promised us peace!
But then Dooku and Yoda fought, and so Yoda's definitely 100% good guy, but Dooku was kind of good, but then they were bad.
Yoda was Dooku's master.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all like a soap opera, isn't it?
I mean, isn't everything we watch, that's what makes it epic?
Including football.
Yes.
So anyway, that's the Force Dawn. If you were as confused with the...
I think we're still confused, but
Right.
it should be.
The one thing that wasn't confusing was the absolute lack of chemistry between Padme and Anakin.
Yeah.
That made me angry. I mean, bloody, what's his... I mean, that was ridiculous. And if you, you took out every one of his scenes, you wouldn't really
miss anything
at all. But the chemistry, now I have the same thing. I can't go into too many details, but these Star Wars were filmed in Sydney, and I have friends that worked on Star Wars, and let me tell you that they had chemistry, those two, but they only had chemistry offset.
There was a rumor they were dating at one point.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yes. So these guys should have had a spark.
Yeah.
It's like they wasted it all offset to take it care of, and then came back
In the
on
trailer.
Well,
To be fair,
Woody.
almost all of those scenes that they shot were on green screen.
Right.
It's not like they had those gorgeous romantic settings, like where it's easier to like have a moment with someone. They were literally on green screens, being like,
They were rolling around in a field somewhere, and even then it was like...
But it's very hard to have chemistry when the line is, I hate sand. It's so coarse and it gets everywhere.
Yeah.
Like that's...
But I truly, deeply love you. It's like you look like you're about to cry. I get that you're going to die, but during the wedding when they kiss, it's like she wanted to vomit afterwards.
And even though it was a different actor, we were talking, it was hard early on because in Phantom Menace, when you first introduced them...
Oh, it's so weird because he's a kid and she's a woman, and I get that she looks young, but you don't think she's supposed to be what?
14, 15, yeah.
But she looks like she's 20.
Yeah.
You know? And he's definitely like 9.
Yeah, I have
It's
no
just
problem with
creepy.
older women.
Are you an angel?
Yeah.
That's the line we were talking about earlier.
But yeah, it just didn't make sense. He loved her so much, but then he choked her. I don't know.
Love
That
is
to me-
complicated. But hey, you know, we have the purpose of our show is to celebrate the greatest saga ever told. So we try to always have a positive spin on the prequels, and we didn't hammer it too much here. We know we have a lot of people out there who are actually like, hey, I like the prequels.
I do. I just found that there's a few patches that were quite.
But it's fair to ask these questions, and I think anyone out there commenting.
Mainly, why was Django and Dooku having a chat skis?
So let's do this. You can either hashtag Jedi Alliance on Twitter, or you can join on the conversation on the Facebook page. You, the fans, try to explain Sidious's plan as best you can.
Yes,
Please.
because
No
he
notes.
created the droid army, and then on the side created the clone army that would eliminate the droid army. So why would you create two armies just to pit them against each other and take them out?
And let me do one that we got as we're wrapping up here. I want to ask Alison.
Yeah.
We did this a couple weeks ago where we forced on good things about the prequels.
Oh.
Can you name one or two that you actually will say, hey, you know what, I liked that?
Well, I actually really like kind of getting Boba Fett's backstory. Like
Okay.
that to me was really
We didn't talk
interesting.
about that,
Hey,
yeah.
Dad, let's get on the ship.
I am a little sad that Lucas took it upon him that since he was being played by an Australian actor, they changed
New Zealand.
Oh, that's right.
New
He's a
Zealand.
Kiwi. But they changed they redubbed his lines in the originals.
Yeah.
Which that to me was kind of upsetting. I was like, why can't Boba Fett still be British? He's
Yeah.
British, right? Those are his lines.
Jeremy
It's
Bullock,
kinda-
and he found out in kind of a way where someone, his like agent or manager called and was like,
You're no longer
your
in the
royalties are
movie.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
You know what's even
terrible.
more insulting is that they have an American doing the New Zealand accent for the clones in the Clone Wars. Does a great job.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
It's
But yeah.
confusing.
Yeah.
So that's I like that.
Yeah.
You know, that shot with him holding the helmet is pretty cool.
It's amazing. Yeah, that to me was the most like yes moment of all of those
I like
movies.
that.
Yeah.
I like that. And seeing him pilot the Slave One for the first time by himself.
Yeah.
Shooting.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. And I will say, like, the big arena battle that happens in the second one, beyond the fact that Padme's clothes get torn to look like she bought it at freaking Urban Outfitters or something like that. It was like so, like, I remember watching it in the first place because that's when those, like, off-angled
Yes.
crop
right.
shirts were really in style. And I just remember being like, oh, they really cut her shirt so it just looked like it looks like shirts
How did
today.
that animal know?
So beyond that, I really like that whole
Maybe that animal
battle.
was a fashion designer. He's
Yeah.
like, let me try this. Yeah, that fight was pretty cool. And we were talking about the scene with the Truly Deeply Love You scene. I contend that if you took the dialogue out of that scene and they just stare at
Visually.
each other, maybe give a kiss, and you have that camera shot as they go into the arena, it's a pretty epic looking shot.
Just so lacking
I
in
understand.
sincerity.
I understand.
I truly, deeply love you.
But sand gets everywhere. Yeah, no, they had no shot. Those are some great points, though. I really do like the Boba Fett point. And Daniel Logan, I thought, did a pretty decent job that he could as a 12-year-old being Boba Fett or whatever. And he has he does.
Get him, did!
Ready?
He's in the Clone Wars.
Ready for a fun fact?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daniel Logan and I were in a movie together.
Get it out!
Like literally one of the first movies I ever shot.
Yeah.
I don't think you can ever watch it, like, because it's that indie and not good. But he's like a waiter in a restaurant and he delivers a drink to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Boba Fett serves you.
Yes.
There's your drink.
He was
miss.
like 13 or 14 at the time, something
around-
like that.
a little
He was
bit
a
after-
kid.
little bit after the
It was
time.
right after the movie came out or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
That's
love
awesome.
Fun facts.
Yeah.
I love fun facts. I love them.
We then reunited at G4 like so many years later, and he was like, "Do you remember me?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh!"
Hey, Boba Fett remembers you.
Yeah,
That
there
gives
you
you
go.
a lot of cred. Well, that has been a fun-filled, sound effect-filled edition. And we found two twin sisters that didn't know they existed.
This is not the first time that someone's told us this.
But you know
Sure.
what? Something about it. I knew. You know?
Yeah.
I always
I've
knew.
always known.
I've always known.
We have mutual friends who were always like, "You need to meet the other."
Yeah.
Basically, people were like, "Maude's like the Australian you," and then I met her, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, she's the Australian me."
And then they fought.
Yeah, and then I killed
Like
her.
a Jawa and a
There can
no.
only be one.
Next Duel of the Fates.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Allison. And you were, I know for a fact, you're a big Star Wars fan, so it was great to celebrate this with you today.
Yeah, thanks.
Where can people
Absolutely.
catch you as well?
Check out my Twitter at Alison Haislip.
That was easy.
Yeah.
Pretty direct and to the point. That's the way it should be.
So, Star Wars.
Oh, we got so wrapped up, we didn't do trivia. Do you want to do a quick one?
Yeah.
All right.
We're actually going to start timing these. Show
Okay.
time. If you could put the 2-minute timer on the clock.
Okay.
All right.
You're
Are you-
going to randomly pick a card.
Okay, how about I answer 3 and you answer 3?
Done.
All right.
You have
Hold
to pick
on.
a separate card for me, though.
Okay, I got it.
2
2 minutes. We got 2 minutes to get through this, and you can help either of us.
Okay.
It's a.
Really going to do 3 for 3?
Let's just do 3.
Okay.
Let's do that.
When do I start?
Now. Your first question is, what character wondered, look, I so old to young eyes?
Yoda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who asked C-3PO if he could understand the Ewok language?
Han?
I'm going to go with Luke.
It's Luke.
Oh.
Okay.
Who claims he was sure Luke wasn't on the second Death Star when it blew?
Leia.
Leia.
Yeah.
Han.
What?
Oh,
Maybe it's wrong, but check
you're
it.
right. No. It's Han. Yeah, you're right.
2 from 3.
2 out of 3. All right,
I thought
add
the
it.
twin connection was there.
It is what it is. All right, let's do 3 for you. Who's the first Ewok to nearly get blasted by a laser bolt?
Is it Wicket?
That's the only one I know the name of.
No, the other one's called Paplu.
Oh.
Chief Chirpa, Logray, all those. But you're going with Wicket.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yay!
Absolutely. In the first scene, when he's helping Princess Leia, how many TIE fighters did the Falcon blast on screen in the second Death Star battle?
How many did the Falcon blast on screen? This is not the ones that chased him into the...
Yeah, this is,
Pew, pew. 2. Pew,
I have no clue.
pew, pew, pew.
I can throw out a number. 4.
Show me.
0.
None.
None?
You don't think the Millennium Falcon killed any TIE fighters?
42 seconds left.
Shoot. What?
I'm going to need your answer.
How confident are you, Darth Harloff?
He's a Sith. He could be misleading you.
He would too. He hates cheaters. I'm going to still say 2.
The answer's 3.
Ah!
All right. What was Raikan's rank in the Rebel Alliance?
Pass. Next question.
Yeah,
All
no
right.
clue.
General. What device did Darth Vader's flagship try to use against the Falcon during the escape on Cloud City?
What device did he try to use?
Tractor beam? I don't even know. Is that?
How much lower? 6 seconds! What device did he try to use? A tracking device.
That's correct. Right as it goes.
So what was that?
So 2 out of 3 each.
Okay.
2 out of 3 each.
All right, so that leaves us to, I'm on 23, you're on 27.
All right. We such a good episode. We forgot to do our own segments today. That was good. All right, so we're going to close the show as we always do with a little moment paying tribute to one of the fallen characters, whether it be Rebel, Empire, Droid, or as we had 2 weeks ago, Snort the Gamorrean Guard. This week, well, here's his final words. I've got a problem here. Eject. I can't hold it. Pull up. No, I'm... That exchange contained the last words the world heard from one of the most beloved Rebel pilots. He was Red 6, known as Belly Runner or Piggy to his Red Squadron mates. But you and I will always remember him as Porkins. Jectano Porkins didn't want to fight the Empire. He was a simple trader and pilot who enjoyed a good meal of sink crabs on his home world of Beston 4. But when the growing Galactic Empire made his home one of their bases, he was drawn into the fight. Earning a reputation as a solid ship-to-ship dogfighter and an even better strafer, thus the nickname Belly Runner, Lieutenant Porkins worked his way up from the Yellow Aces training squadron to the esteemed Red Squadron based out of the Great Temple on Yavin 4. There he formed strong partnerships with such fellow pilots as Biggs Darklighter and Wedge Antilles, as well as Wes Jansen, who was supposed to have his place in the battle, but got sick and couldn't. Wedge, perhaps one of the top 2 most famous X-Wing pilots in the galaxy, still mourned the loss of his friend well after the events of his death on the attack on the first Death Star. Porkins died at the hands of the enemy. A gun turret or a TIE fighter laser blast was the official cause of death, depending on what source you're reading or watching. But it was a malfunction of his T-65 X-Wing that caused him to fall too low and too close to the surface of the Death Star, making him an easier target. Rebel crew members later recalled how there was no time to conduct a final check of Porkins' X-Wing before the fight. The Death Star was approaching. It was time to go. That's what Porkins knew to do. The Empire or us, there is no compromise. Biggs pleaded for his friend to eject, but the big man didn't. He paid the ultimate price. However, it was through the actions of Porkins and so many others like him that the Galactic Empire was brought to his knees. As Biggs said, "So long, Piggy, you will be avenged." Rest in peace.
Red 6 is no longer standing by.
Absolutely. And of course, the actor William Hootkins, who played him, also appeared famously in The Raiders of the Lost Ark as one of the 2 government G-men talking to Indy, who hid the Ark, and also as Lieutenant Eckard in Batman, 1989.
That's such nerd cred.
Yeah.
Well
That guy
done.
had it all. Unfortunately, in real life, he passed away in 2005 from cancer. So this is a tribute to Jectano Porkins and William Hootkins, a very important member of the Star Wars family.
That's all we have for Jedi Alliance. Alliance this time. This has been episode 6 featuring Alison Haislip and half the Star Paws, but that's pretty good still. If you like this, rate it, review it, all the things on iTunes and on YouTube as well. Share it with your friends. Like us on the Facebook page, Jedi Alliance on the Schmoes Know Network. Speaking of that Schmoes Know Network.
Yeah, go to youtube.com/Schmoes Know Podcast to find all the Schmoes Know Network shows. You got Profiles with Alicia Malone and Scott Mantz, Guilty Movie Pleasures with Steve Simone and Josh McCouga, Meet the Movie Press with Mark Riley and Jeff Snyder of The Wrap, and of course the Schmoes Know Movie Show, the main show, live every Thursday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. 8 p.m. PST, and also the newest show that just launched just today, Box Office Breakdown with JTE and the Diabolical Finstock. So,
thank you for listening to the Jedi Alliance, because many Bothans died to bring us this information.
For producers Christian Harloff, Mark Ellis, and the entire Schmoes Know Network crew, we would like to thank you for listening to the Jedi Alliance on the Schmoes Know Network. Special thanks to Kevin Undergaro and Maria Menounos, the author of Every Girl's Guide to Diet and Fitness, in stores now. To watch or listen to other Schmoes Know Network episodes, get movie news, and join the conversation, be sure to visit schmoesknow.com and find the Jedi Alliance on iTunes and subscribe, rate, and review. I'm the Pit Boss, and this has been a presentation of Schmoes Know